Hey, welcome to the fun and the mentals of real estate. I'm your host, Angela Dillmon, and this is my wealth building partner here, Glen Calvin at Guild Mortgage here in St. Louis. He's the best lender, really. You got to talk to him.
Appreciate that.
All right, super good. So we're here to help you build your wealth, live your dream lifestyle, and leave legacies that matter. Super important to us. This is way more than just helping you buy a home, right, Glenn?
Yes.
I mean, we want you to make smart money decisions.
So we gotta have a question.
I got a question. Of the day. Like, when you're driving around town and you're seeing all this construction going on all these apartments.
Yes, crazy.
And you're like, these are huge apartment complexes. And like luxury stuff, like high-end, pretty stuff that's kind of expensive. And you're like, what in the world is happening? Have you been wondering that here in St. Louis? Because that's what's happening.
Yeah, certainly. Right down the street here in Chesterfield, and the rents that they're getting for these are just astronomical. It's
unbelievable. Crazy. Yeah, $2,000 a month, easy. Maybe $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month
for an apartment.
Yeah, St. Peter's has a humongous complex that they're building right now. You're like, what's going on? Well, inventory is just that low. Okay, so
function of the market, right?
That's right. So back in 2008, again, we had this big economic downturn, and what happened was they just did not build. They just stopped building. It was like walking off a cliff. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
It's like one day the phone was ringing, and the very next day, nothing.
Do you remember the fluctuation in lumber prices too?
Oh my gosh,
crazy!
It was unbelievable. So because they didn't build, and over the last 14 years have not built to keep up with demand. They need about 1 million units a year across the country to keep up with demand. We're like 5 million units short across the country. I'm talking a ton of units. This is single family, this is multifamily, this is apartments, this is everything. Right now they're building at 1.1 million units a year. It's a minimum of 10-year catch-up. So this is why you're seeing so much construction. Rates were really, really low and allowed investors to come in and start filling this demand, right? And so right now we're here to talk to you about building your wealth. You're like, what's this got to do with building my wealth?
Yeah, so if there's such a demand for housing, what if I become a landlord?
Right, there you go. So we're here to talk today about 2s and 4 families. Anything bigger than that, I think we're kind of talking commercial loans.
Right, anything. And really, they're very rare, but I have seen a couple of triplexes.
Ooh,
where they're 3 units. But yeah, anything when you get above 4 family, you can do that, but that's going to be a commercial loan. You're going to have to talk to a banker. Typically, they're going to want 25% down. They're going to want experience.
Right.
Probably something that wouldn't be your first project.
Right.
But it can be done. But when we're looking at just getting in the game, buying a duplex, 4 family, you'd be surprised how easy they are to get into.
Okay, so let's just say you're a first-time home buyer and you're like, should I buy a single family? Should I buy a multifamily? So let's just look at it this way. Look at your long-term wealth goals. If you're like, yeah, I would love to own 3, 4 families. The investors call them doors, right? They call every unit doors, a door, right? Yeah. And so you're like, oh, wow, I could own 12 doors, right? So if you're thinking in the future you would like to have investment property like that, the cheapest way to do it is to be an owner-occupied, which means you live in it. You buy it to live in. For at least how long?
Duplex.
How long do I got to live in?
So we're going to say that you're going to move in within 60 days, and you're going to be your primary residence for 1 year.
For 1 year. So just 1 year is all you have to live in the property.
I was thinking to myself, who would be crazy enough on their first house to buy a duplex?
Oh, me.
Right here. It's so bold, and it doesn't surprise me.
Our very first place was a 2-family in the city.
And it worked out well.
We lived in the bottom. There was a tenant upstairs, about a long-term tenant. She was really nice. Had to raise the rent, but hey.
Now, when you went to buy it, were you nervous, apprehensive? I mean,
it was our very first place.
Home.
It was our first home. It wasn't even a single family. It was a 2-family because we wanted to own multifamily. We wanted to own investment property. So we did do it. And, I mean, it's always a little bit of nerve-wracking when you're doing. That's why it's one of the top 5 stressors in life to move. But it was a lot of fun. We got our real estate license at the same time we were doing it. There was these young realtors that were helping us out, and we bought our first 2-family, and we lived in it for a couple of years, and then we decided to buy our first single family, and we kept it. And we rented it out. Eventually, we sold it, and we didn't keep it long term. Because it ended up just not being the right spot for us. But it was our very first purchase. So we call this house hacking. If you ever heard the house hacking term, what it means is you buy a property, especially a 4-family or a 2-family, And the fun of this is, hey, the tenants can pay my mortgage payment, right? Help pay it. Glen's like, they don't pay it for you, you pay it. But
no, it helps. And I think that there's a misconception, too, that in order to buy something different than a single family, I've got to have 20% down.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, this is the cool thing. What?
Yeah.
So how little could I buy a 2 or 4 family too if I'm going to live it?
Yeah, and they just changed the rules recently. So on a conventional loan, a minimum of 5% down.
5%
And on an FHA loan, 3.5%.
Woo!
And on a duplex, you can actually use, you have to qualify, but you actually lose the Missouri Housing Development Corporation, we call MHDC, and on a two-family, first-time homebuyer, they'll give you the money for the down payment.
Oh my gosh, 0 down. So duplexes, 2 families, all the same thing, y'all.
Right.
Okay, so 2 families, some people call them 2 families because they're up and down, and duplexes when they're side by side, but most of the time we call them 2 families. So interchangeable. So if you do this, the fun part is that, let's just say you're in a 4-family,
right?
And you buy a 4-family. There's some down in St. Louis Hills for like $400,000, but you can get them cheaper than that. You can buy them for $200,000, let's say. And the rents today, did you know that in St. Louis, we led the country in how much rents went up, how much they went up? We were double everybody else. We were up 3.2%, which is double anybody else in the country this past fall. Our rents really went high. So if you are renting, rents are that high.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you're looking to qualify and you have an established tenant in there, you can actually use that income to qualify for that loan.
All right. So this is getting easier. This is getting funner.
It is funner, but again, you still have to remember it's 2 furnaces, 2 air conditioners.
All right. Or in a 4-family, our mental side is 4 furnaces, 4 air conditioners, 4 water heaters, right? And you have to watch out for the flat roofs too, because insurance has really gone through the roof. So the mental part of this too is that insurance might be higher. If you have a flat roof, it's even higher. And they do have these really thick membrane roofs you can put on them now that really last 15 or 20 years. Right. But I'm telling you, insurance is really getting tough. I'd rather see you buy one that's shingled, easier to insure, easier to maintain, but in the city there's a lot of flat. Now, another mental is that you got to be a landlord and you need to know about leasing. Right. Okay, so Managing Rental Properties by Brent Tanner.
Oh, you talk about this book a lot.
Oh my gosh, best book ever. In it is a link to all the forms you need. I just actually used it, downloaded all his forms, right?
Yeah, that's
I sent the lease off to an attorney to make it Missouri compliant, but there are some really great resources, and that would be the one I would recommend. Start reading it now. Like, if you're just even thinking about it, just get educated. It's a $20 book. It's super easy, fun to read.
Say the name of the book again.
It's called Managing Rental Properties by Brent Tanner.
Okay.
And he's the Bigger Pockets podcast guy.
So one thing I would also recommend, and I think it was very bold of you, and it worked out great for you, first house buying that. You, and I know you very well, you probably had some money in reserves. You didn't buy a 2-family, a 4-family, put down 5% and not have any money. You really need to be smart about it and be prepared, for when the water heater breaks. And you can get home
warranties on these.
Yeah, you can.
You can get a home warranty. Right. If you get a home warranty on some of these, then what happens is that home warranty may be able to help you replace the furnace, the water heater, the air conditioner. And you can keep those up from year to year to year to year. So if you are going in with a little bit of cash, get a home warranty, that will really pay off. Now, the fun thing is, let's just say you buy a $200,000 4-family. The rents in each unit, if it's even just a 1-bedroom, my goodness, $750 to $1,000 is like easy peasy. We may even be talking $1,200 to $1,400 per unit.
So how do you find out what an average rent would be? I know
here's a fun tip. You can use a little app called the Rent-O-Meter.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of fun. We use about 3 or 4 different ways that we analyze how much we think somebody could get in rent for each unit, so and it may already be rented, so you would know. But the Rent-O-Meter is kind of fun. Yeah. It's actually a little meter. It shows you your low side, medium, or high side on the rent. And so you put in the address, how many bedrooms, baths, and things, and it'll spit out a rentable amount. So that's just a really fun thing to use. But there are other comps and other ways. The HomeBot. So if you use the HomeBot app, you can use that app and it will show you what you can rent your house for.
I didn't know
right?
that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Or Airbnb it. Now, some people take 4 families and 2 families, and Airbnb 1 units.
Be careful; those rules are changing quickly.
They are changing quickly in the city, but not so much out in the county.
Right.
So where you can find them, you can really get creative. And if you've ever wanted to have an Airbnb, what easier way to do it than to live in the building while you have it and test it out?
Right.
Like, that would be super fun too. That was something that was not available back in the day when I did it.
There's so many more resources that you can have. And I think the bottom line is don't be intimidated by this.
Yeah.
Keep it up as an option. If real estate is your thing, and you want to build your wealth and have some income producing properties,
there you go.
A 2-family, triplex, 4-family.
Yeah.
It's certainly viable, and it doesn't take 20-25% to put down.
No. It does take just a little down to do it. Now, the other fun thing about this is that if you house hack, which just means that once you buy it, you live in it a year, you keep it, you go do it again.
And the good thing about these is
you buy another one, and now you have 2 4-families.
So if you do the same thing,
and a 2-family.
You do the same thing with a condominium. You're subject to the restrictions for the homeowners associations. When it's a 2-family or 4-family, you own the unit.
Yeah.
And there's not near the rules or restrictions.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And so you could do this as many times as you wanted and get as many doors as you wanted because you get owner-occupied interest rates, which are lower than investor interest rates. You get very little money down.
And they're fixed. Yeah.
And they're fixed 30-year rates. You can really, and then once rates do drop again, you can force that payment down and keep that overhead really stable as rents rise. They do predict rents to continue to rise because of the housing shortage. We're still not building enough to keep up with demand. And so rental units and rents here in St. Louis are really on the rise. And so that's an important thing to know. If you are renting or thinking about renting, consider this option of buying a 4 or a 2-family.
Yeah, educate yourself. Do the research and dispel the myths. And when you're interested and you're ready to go, going to be plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, just give us a call here at 314-277-7713. We'll give you all our knowledge around it. We'll help you make smart decisions, and Glenn will help you make smart money decisions in the lending department, which is really super important when you purchase these. So we can use the HomeBot app. If you don't have the HomeBot app, feel free to download it. Just click here. We'll have it here, a link right below the podcast. So thanks for joining us today on the fundamentals of real estate. I hope you had some fun.
Yeah, I did.
All right.
I learned.
Okay, that's great. Join us next week. Until then, build your wealth, live your dream lifestyle, and leave legacies that matter. Would you like to know how much cash is in your home? Would you like to know what that cash could do for you? Would you like to figure out how to pay off your home faster? Would you like to set up a private search where no one will try to bug you or sell you anything when you're searching for another home? I got an app for that. The wealth building app for your home. HomeBot. It's free. Click here.